Allahumma Alahayna Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah Mashiach wa Malaki Bahashem Harawat Bakakurash Barakatham Tawara Baba wa Kwam Yasharala. Double honor to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone who teach us daily. To the men out there teaching the likewise doctrine, I say to you, Shalom. Today we're going to get into a video where Shahid Boatson is really going in on Esau. And he's really exposing the nature of the Edomites. Now, this is a video that you need to really pay close attention to, especially if you are Israelite, because this affects you. This video will really go into depth as to familiarize you with your enemy and their ways, how they think, what they feel, how they move, despite the lies they tell. And he's really going in, so y'all really need to pay attention, because these people, they're in a desperate position right now, because in Arkansas, you got neo-Nazis marching. And I'm like, hold up, didn't you people fight the Germans? So now you're German? How does that work? See, these are culture vultures looking for their own identity. Well, they're not looking for it, they're running from it, attaching themselves onto other identities. No, you're not the Greeks. You are not the Greeks. You are not the pirates. You are not the Spartans. You are not the Trojans. And now they're trying to attach themselves to a neo-Nazi identity. No, you're just Esau, the base man, the bloody man. Now, this video is really going to inform you about your enemy's ways. So it's highly recommended that you all watch this video. I'm not saying my video, I'm saying go back and watch the video that I'm putting in this video in its entirety. I'm gonna play about 7.5 minutes of it, but you all can go back and watch the rest, because this man is really going in on the base man. So before we do that, let's get the copyright. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use of purposes such as criticism, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Yeah, he's about to tell you about your enemy in their entirety. Let's get it. And the name of this video is Blacks Can't Fall Because of Their Supreme Wisdom. American Dream is Shadow. And this video is 17 minutes, 34 seconds. But I'm going to play about 7.5 minutes. And y'all really need to listen.
You know, I was talking last time about how you need to understand that when the West, the sort of official voice of the West, the governments, the media, the elites, companies, corporations, and so on, when they use words like morals or values, or when they use words like justice or human rights or peace or what have you, I was saying they mean something completely different than what most people mean when they use those words. But I got a lot of comments from people saying, oh yeah, that's doublespeak, or hypocrisy, or deception. But no, this is actually what I was trying to explain at that time. I normally wouldn't do a follow-up if people misunderstood what I said, but I think this is extremely important to understand. It's not doublespeak, it's not hypocrisy, and it's not deception. No, they are being completely honest. This was my point. They're being completely honest, completely accurate when they depict, for example, the genocide in Gaza as being completely justified and defensive. They're being completely honest when they said that 1 million babies dying in Iraq from a decade of sanctions was worth it. They're not being hypocritical. They're not saying one thing and meaning another thing. These are their actual values, and you have to understand this.
Now, that further goes to show me what he just said. The Edomites as a whole don't have any empathy, because they really don't think they're doing anything wrong. Or they think that they can get off the hook with the Lord by simply saying, well, we don't consider them human, so technically this isn't considered murder. We're going to see how the Lord feels about that. Let's go.
There is a fundamental and profound difference between their values and our values.
Mm-hmm.
They're not contradicting their values. You must understand, they're not betraying their values. They are acting on their values with consistency and continuity. Committing massacres against innocent civilians does not trouble their conscience any more than you stepping on a bug troubles your conscience. They don't see anything to feel guilty about. They feel that they've done something good. You have to understand this, because if you don't, you will severely and dangerously underestimate their danger. And you'll make the fatal mistake of believing that you can ever appeal to their sense of morality, that you can ever appeal to their conscience. And you'll make the catastrophic mistake of trusting them or trusting their intentions. And wallahi, there are tens of millions of their victims crying out from their graves, telling you not to trust them.
Sirach chapter 12, verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like his iron rust, so is his wickedness.
You know, just like someone watching a horror movie and shouting at the screen, telling the main character, don't go down that dark alley. If you could hear the voices of their millions of victims, they would tell you exactly what's going to happen to you if you listen to them and if you trust them. If you're Muslim, or you're not white, or you're not rich, you need to recognize that they have zero moral hesitation about killing you. Yes, whether you live outside of America or whether you live inside of America, it's the same to them. The worst thing you can do is ever underestimate this reality. Listen, just like with an individual, you can learn what their values are by what their actions are. Much better than by what their words are. People can tell you all kinds of things about what their values are, what they believe, and so on, what their morals are. But their actions, their deeds will tell you the truth. You don't know anything about what they believe by their words alone. You have to see to what extent their actions align with their words, because people do things that they believe are morally acceptable. Now, sure, that doesn't mean that people always act in accordance with their conscience. People can slip up. There can be aberrations. We're human beings. But the actions that someone commits habitually, regularly, routinely, with consistency, this is what they believe in. Whatever.
See, that's why we tell y'all, fuck what they say, watch what they do. And they have a track record of committing murder, theft, and lying about it all.
They say to the contrary is just them lying either to you or to themselves, or both. But you have to believe what they do, not what they say. And like I said, when they say that what they do is moral, then that tells you what they consider to be moral behavior. Because it's not like America ever apologized for their wrongs. Until now, they've got the Native Americans holed up in reservations, and they're poisoning them right now with uranium. And I'm telling you, they're doing that because they believe it is morally acceptable to do that. No, don't you ever think that they are like you and I. They're not like us. This is incredibly dangerous. They're bloodthirsty, and they see nothing wrong whatsoever in quenching that thirst. The same way that you see nothing wrong with drinking a glass of water, they can spill your blood with the same nonchalance. And all you have to do is look at their history to know that. And you know, they'll always say, oh, every civilization was violent. Every empire was violent. America isn't unique, or the West isn't unique about that. There's nothing strangely distinct about the West in terms of violence. Okay, look, let's look at the Muslims. Because this is something that they love to talk about. Muslim conquest, Muslim wars, jihad, Islam spread by the sword, and what have you, right? Part of being a Muslim is that you have to tell the truth. Whether it's for you or against you, you have to tell the truth. We don't get to spin narratives and pretend that those narratives are reality. We have to actually be.
Same as Israelites. We're not allowed to lie. Let me get that real quick. Let's find the script. Yep. This is Proverbs chapter 17, verse 7. Excellent speech becometh not a fool, much less do lying lips a prince. We got to tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Regardless of how you feel, how you react, or how you think. The thoughts, feelings, and emotions ain't got nothing to do with this truth. Let's roll. I'm going to play about 3 more minutes of it. Then we're going to get some scripts. Let's go.
Be honest. So I'll tell you, over the course of 1400 years, millions of non-Muslims died at the hands of Muslims. That's a fact. No denying it. Obviously, exact figures are impossible to ascertain, and the numbers of casualties in battles back in those old days are generally understood to be exaggerated. But according to historians, from the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam until today, somewhere between 15 to 25 million non-Muslims have been killed by Muslims. That includes the battles in Persia, the Byzantine Empire, the Levant, Egypt, and so on. You know, the early conquests, it includes Spain, all the battles of the Umayyads, the Abbasids, the Seljuks, the Ottomans, and so on. It also includes the massacres against the Armenians and the Assyrians. It even includes the civil war in Sudan, South Sudan, Darfur. It even includes acts of terrorism by like Al-Qaeda and ISIS and others. Now, of course, overwhelmingly, the majority of those casualties throughout history have been soldiers in battle, not civilians. But there were civilians too, obviously. So over the course of 1,400 years, Muslims killed around 15 to 25 million non-Muslims. That sounds like a lot, right? That makes you think that, yeah, it's true. Every civilization, every empire was violent. So why point to the West so particularly? Well, because in roughly a third of that amount of time, the West killed 275 million more people. You slaughtered, genocided, starved, bombed, murdered 300 million people in just the last 500 years. In fact, America alone has killed in just my lifetime almost as many people as the total killed by the Muslims in 1,400 years. Imagine. You
Like the elder said, Esau, you are the world's heavyweight champion of murder and genocide. That's you.
killed in just the last 50 years the equivalent of all non-Muslims killed in every war ever fought by the Muslim empires in over a millennium. That's why we point to the West specifically. Do you understand? Because that's strange. It's abnormal. It's unique.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, from that 300 million that you killed through slavery, through colonization, through engineered famines, through sanctions, and through war, we're not even talking about mostly soldiers being killed. We're talking about mostly civilians. You know, even in your wars, between 50% to 70% of the casualties have been civilians. Yes, you stand out in history. Mm-hmm. So like I said, you know people by their deeds. You know them, you know what they believe by their deeds, their habitual, continuous deeds, not their aberrations. Okay? The Spanish conquest of the Americas, 70 million dead. British colonialism, minimum 150 million killed. The transatlantic slave trade, at least 15 to 25 million killed. French colonial wars, 25 million. Congo, 20 million. Genocide of the Native Americans, upwards of 90 to 100 million. On and on. The Holocaust, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Iraq, Afghanistan, now Gaza. It doesn't stop with you. The fact is that the Muslim empire, across time, relative to its size and duration, has the least amount of blood spilled than any other empire in human history, and that's a fact. Even if you go back to
All right, we can come out of this. My man was going in, wasn't it? Never straight truth. And he was right. Because there's a scripture on that, what he just said. He said that you would know them pretty much. And I got that right here. So they stand out as being unique. The Bible calls them the wicked. Let's get this, 2nd Ezra chapter 7, verse 23. And deceived themselves by their wicked deeds, and said of the Most High that he is not, and know not his ways. Yeah, these people crazy, man. Let's go back a couple of verses, though. Let's go back to verse 22. Nevertheless, they were not obedient unto him, but spake against him and imagined vain things. And they deceived themselves by their wicked deeds, and said of the Most High that he is not, and know not his ways. But his law have they despised, and denied his covenants, and his statutes they have not been faithful, and have not performed his works. Now these scriptures are talking about 2/3 Israelites, but you can apply this to Edom, because this is where the 2/3 get this shit from. Now let's keep going. Now let's go back to the bloody man. These people don't know peace. They don't know how to live and let live, because they always they're always in a mind state that like they got something to prove because they know they're base men at the bottom. That's why you got those so-called neo-Nazi rejects over there in Arkansas marching right now. They just want some attention because they know they feel the vibration throughout the earth spiritually that the Edomites, are being rejected by all the nations. So they just want some attention. That's all. Oh, babies. Let's keep rolling. Job chapter 9, verse 24, the earth was given to the hand of the wicked, because the face of the judge thereof not where, and who is he? That's why you had centuries and centuries and centuries of senseless murder, because these people have a bloodthirst, taking other people's stuff just because they want it, just because they're covetous. Now, what does the book of Sirach say about covetous men? Let's get it. And it's in chapter 10, verse 9. And it reads, why is earth and ashes proud? There is not a more wicked thing than a covetous man. There it is. For such as one set up his own soul to sell, because while he liveth, he cast away his bowels. This man he holds nothing to be sacred. He will sell his mama. To him, that's profit. Nothing is sacred. You ever notice that everything in America is for sale? Because they're covetous. They will sell land to their enemies inside their country. You know how much land China got? Matter of fact, China does not only own land here, right next to military bases, which I find very strange and retarded, but China also owns the West Coast ports and the cranes that operate those ports, and they can shut them down remotely if they want to. What kind of sense does that make? Giving your enemy this type of access to your country and control over your imports and exports. That's an idiot. You know why he did it? Because China wanted to buy, and Esau loves money. He worships it. That's his God. Gold, oil, drugs. Let's keep rolling. Job chapter 30, verse 8, they were children of fools, your children of base men, they were violent in the earth. Only a fool would sell his enemy property and access to his ports. But these people love money just that much that they don't give a damn about the people because they love money. And it's not, well, it is. The love of money is the root of all evil. I was about to say it's not money, and it's not, because money is a tool, not a possession. But these people worship money as a possession. Go to Daniel chapter 4, verse 17. This matters by the decree of the watchers and by the demand of the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and give it to whomsoever he will, and set it up over it the basis of men. Just a ball of emotion. Because see, Esau, this is what he wants. He wants to be able to lie on anybody who he don't like without being questioned. He wants his narrative to stand regardless of how they're fact checked proven to be lies. He wants that freedom to just lie on whoever and do whatever to anybody that he wants without judgment. We all know that's not going to happen. That's not practical because that's not sustainable. Eventually, the nations are going to rise up just like they're prophesied to do. That's not sustainable. You just taking people shit and they just supposed to take it. You just lie on whoever and they just supposed to take it? No. Isaiah chapter 26, verse 10. Let favor be shown to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. In the land of uprightness will he deal unjustly, and will not behold the majesty of the Lord. He ain't built to rule. He built to be this emotional little girl that he is. Look at Trump. Trump is the prime example of the Edomite. Selfish, childish, emotional, murderous, lying, theft, pedo, lying about that. Always on some sneak shit. He is the mascot of America. And I seen a meme that stated that it said that America did not vote for a president. It voted for its reflection. And that would be the case if voting was real, because presidents are selected, not elected. So in a true sense, Americans are getting what they deserve through Trump. That's why we chilling. We sitting back out the way and let the Lord handle these Edomites, because their arms are too short to box with God. Psalm chapter 37, verse 32, the wicked watcheth the righteous and seeketh to slay him. You don't have to do nothing to these people for them to murder you. All it takes is for them to get in their little fucked up feelings. That's it. No, it's not sustainable. Esau wants the right to murder anybody he wants without judgment. Not sustainable, homie. The earth is going to rise against you, and the Lord is going to put you back in the cages that you came from. Psalm chapter 73. Verse 5, they're not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Therefore, pride compasseth them about as a chain, violence covers them as a garment. Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than the heart could wish. They are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. How do you speak loftily? You talk to somebody like you think you better than them. They're speaking loftily. Go to Isaiah chapter 59. Once again, these scriptures are talking about two-thirds Edom, Israelites, but you can apply these to Edom, because these people, this is where the two-thirds got it from, Edomites. Isaiah chapter 59, verse 4. None call for justice, nor any pleader for truth. They trust in vanity and speak lies. They conceive mischief and bring forth iniquity. Verse 6. Their web shall not become garments, neither shall they cover themselves with their works. Their works are works of iniquity, and the act of violence is in their hands. Their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed innocent blood. Their thoughts are thoughts of iniquity. Wasting and destruction are in their paths. The way of peace they know not, and there is no judgment in their goings. They have made them crooked paths. Whosoever goeth therein shall not know peace. That's why everybody who does business with the United States end up regretting it, because Esau always ends up fucking people over. That's why all these so-called allied nations have come together for a group sanction against the United States. But see, the United States, these little emotional babies over here, they're going to be the first ones to, hey, that's not fair. That's not fair. What do you call what Trump is doing to these other nations just because he can? See, y'all, you Edomites, y'all see shit one-sided. And that's a false balance to the Lord, which is an abomination. That's why you about to go into captivity, because you wreaking all this havoc in the earth. You have thrown the earth and the vibration of it out of balance. And that's an abomination. So the Lord is going to correct that balance by putting you in captivity under the Israelites. Not just you, the other 16 nations too who took advantage of us. But the only difference is at the end of 1,000 years, they going back to their land. The nation of Edom is going to be rounded up and exterminated. So yeah, there is a price to your insanity. Extinction. James chapter 2, verse 13. For he shall have judgment without mercy, that have shown no mercy, and mercy rejoiceth against judgment. Jeremiah chapter 9, verse 5. And they will deceive every one his neighbor, and will not speak the truth. They have taught their tongue to speak lies, and weary themselves to commit iniquity, going above and beyond the call of duty to commit wickedness, especially against Israelites. You think the Lord is just gonna let you get away with doing his people like this? No. There's a price to pay for insanity and madness, and that price is extermination. First, it's 1,000 years of slavery, then it's extermination. So you ain't got away with shit. The Lord gave you plenty of elbow room for you to earn your judgment. So don't start crying, talking about some shit's not fair, when the Lord rounds you up and exterminates you. Because look at all the bloodshed you got away with worldwide. Don't start crying. Just take your extermination and be gone from this earth. And nobody gonna miss you, not even your woman. She tired of your ass too. Go to Daniel, chapter 11. That's not what I was looking for. Oh, yes, it is. And this is talking about, this is talking about the conflicts. But then again, there's nothing new under the sun. So this is going to happen again if it's not already happening already. Verse 27. And it starts off, and both these kings' hearts shall be to do mischief, and they shall speak lies at one table, but it shall not prosper, for yet the end shall be at an appointed time. That's why the Lord throwing monkey wrenches in all their little plans and their little schemes. Because at first they was able to get away with everything, but see, these are different times. We're at the end of our punishment. The Lord only created Esau to punish us and to bring wickedness into the world. So if the Lord doesn't need any more wickedness, what purpose do you serve, Esau? What do you contribute to the human family? Nothing. That's why you finna go. Because the Lord no longer has a need for wickedness on the earth. That's where you come in at. But guess what? You finna get everything you ever dished out times two. John chapter 10, verse 10, read the Lord Yahushua speaking. The thief cometh not before to steal and to kill and to destroy. Who is that? I am come that they may have life and that they may have it more abundantly. But see, if the Lord didn't come back and put these people in cages, they would kill everybody and everything on the planet. Because they don't see anything wrong with it. They were not given empathy. That automatically disqualifies you from being fit to rule. No empathy. It's not that you don't observe it. You wasn't given empathy, dude. Because a lot of you Edomites, not all, but a lot of you Edomites, y'all feel the same way. Why you think KKK to this day is not considered a terrorist organization? But everybody else who brings out the truth about them is. I wonder why. Because the earth was given to the hand of the wicked. Now let's get this one. Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 23. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? This is the Lord poking fun at you because he knows he's about to destroy Babylon, aka America. So y'all ain't gonna be starting wars with nobody real soon. The Lord's finna bring the fight to you, and you're gonna lose miserably, and you're going into chains and the captivity at the same time. Let's see, we can get a couple more. Ah, that's a good one. Psalms chapter 12, verse 8. The wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted. So if you got wicked men in a circle, which represents Trump's administration, guess who's in the dead center? The vilest man, Donald Trump. And he's exalted in a wicked kingdom. Scripts don't lie, baby. Isaiah chapter 14, verse 21, prepare slaughter for his children and for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land or fill the face of the world with cities. So everything your forefathers did, some of you are your forefathers coming back to be judged. It says prepare slaughter for his children. So the children on this earth representing the nation of Edom, y'all got to pay for everything your forefathers did, times two. And once again, a lot of you are your forefathers coming back because you come back every 34th generation. A generation is anywhere from 20 to 25 years. So we ain't trying to hear that shit. I didn't own any slaves. You don't remember. Nobody has remembrance of their past. That's why newborn babies are born jacked up because they're getting judged from their past life. Whoever appears being innocent, or where were the righteous cut off, roughly paraphrasing the scripture. So don't say you never owned slaves if you don't know. You'll know when you get your judgment, though. Some of you claim you never owned slaves, but at the same time, you don't have a problem with it. So you probably did own slaves. That's cool, because you're about to fill a slave's boots. You're about to fill those shoes. And you're going to know what it's like to go through everything you put us through. You're going to know what it's like to have your child stripped from your arms, being sold into slavery, and never seeing that child ever again. You're going to know what that feels like. And you're going to wonder about that child all the day long, wondering if the child is even alive still or not. And you will never see that child again. You going to go through this, Edom, and then you're going to know the full measure of your wickedness. You're going to see your true reflection in the mirror when you see all the wickedness that you have dished out being done to you. That's when you're going to see a clear reflection of who you are. And none of that cognitive dissonance shit is not going to get you out of this. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 9, the Lord knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptations, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. Let's go to Nahum chapter 1, verse 3. The Lord is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. The Lord has his way in the whirlwind and in the storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, in the time of their calamity, in the time of their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out and him that returneth. Since you don't have a problem with murder, you won't have a problem being murdered yourself. This is how the Lord restores balance. We can end in Obadiah. Verse 2, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. Verse 9, and thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter, all of them. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Verse 15, for the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. Everything you stole, you about to run it. Verse 18, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them. And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord Yahweh hath spoken. Verse 21, and Savior shall come upon Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord's. Game over. And ain't nobody gonna miss y'all crazy asses, because your insanity and your madness is exhausting. Call halayim la lahai now Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, Hamashiach, Wa Malakia by Hashem, Harawat, Wakakorash, Barakatham, the water Baba Ba, Wakwam Yasharala. Shalom.